Now are the Americas, ladies and gentlemen, and these are the flags that pretty much are that's around the entire area. Pretty much we got like Switzerland, Sweden, Spain. Over here you got the original flag of Poland, Scotland, well technically Saxony and then Scotland. Oh, got the Belgian border. We got Norway, the Netherlands, pardon, it's hard to pronounce that. Mecklenburg. You have the original flag of Italy, Japan, here's Lebanon. Here we have Ireland. Greece. I believe that's the white flag here is actually meant for France. Here's Denmark, ladies and gentlemen. The original flag of England. And yes, there's France, the white flag. Which, if you guys want to stop this so you guys can read it, be my guest. It does look like a flag of surrender. Looks like we got Belgium, China, and Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia, China, Belgium. Their flag of Texas, Mexico, and finally the United States. The Lone Star, which people call nowadays, I don't know why. Here we have the Polish. Pretty amazing area right a little here, a little food dance area, which we might see a little bit later. This is probably one of the forts that are actually around here at the time. Little Outpost Army Forts, Texas. Oh, there's actually a big mouth. Hello, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. You're part of the Buffalo Soldiers?
No, actually the Buffalo Soldiers were black.
Ah!
So I can't be a Buffalo Soldier, but I'm portraying a soldier of the same time period. The Buffalo Soldiers were infantry and cavalry soldiers, and I'm an infantry soldier from the 1870s. They wore the same uniform that I'm wearing here today.
And as well, telling by the stripes in your shoulder, technically you're a sergeant.
Well, you're half right. It's a regimental sergeant major. The color of the stripes are blue. Blue represents the infantry. Yellow represents the cavalry. Red would represent the artillery. Privates got 2 stripes, sergeants got 3. Privates, unfortunately, didn't get any. Now, when you have extra stripes, that's a level of a non-commissioned officer above the company level. And this has 3 up and 3 down, so that is the regimental sergeant major, the highest ranking non-commissioned officer in a regiment.
Huh. Now, why did they end up switching the stripes from pointing down to pointing up?
That was due to the Army Reorganization Bill of 1903. It took the Army about 75 years to figure out that bright stripes in the uniform made them attractive targets to the enemy. Of course, originally the idea was that the officers could be seen at great distances by their soldiers in the fog and chaos of battle, but so could the enemy. So after the Spanish-American War, the United States Army had sort of a reform period. There were some things that did not work out very well during that war: supply, logistics, command, transportation, in fact, just about everything. And in the Army Reorganization Bill of the early 1900s, a number of things were changed, and the uniform changed from the heavy blue wool that you see me wearing to more lighter cotton-based blends, and the stripes became much smaller and earth tones, and that's the way they are today. And they switched them from V up to V down.
Now the rifle's right behind you. That's like a Springfield trapdoor and
correct.
And a Sharps rifle.
No, sir. This is they're both Springfields. This is the Springfield rifle, model 1873. This is the carbine, which is the shorter, lighter version issued to the mounted cavalrymen. They fire the same bullet, a .45 caliber bullet, powered by different levels of powder. The rifle has 70 grains of powder, the carbine 55 grains, because the cavalry soldier didn't need to be as close, or didn't need to be as far distant from the enemy. The infantry, of course, walked, and it's kind of hard to chase Indians when you're walking. This is a copy of the saber that the enlisted man carried. It's the model 1861 light cavalry saber. It was anything but light, but it was lighter than the model 1841 saber, which was really clunky. It weighs about 2.5 pounds. It was made as a slashing, cutting, and clubbing weapon. It really wasn't very good at putting holes in people.
Ooh.
And generally speaking, it was pretty useless. It was only as good for as close as you could get to the enemy. And also, if you're carrying this on your saddle, it rattles like hell. If you want to sneak up on somebody, you're just not going to be able to do that.
Why don't you show the firearms for the viewers? Because
here's the Springfield. It is called a trapdoor.
Because of the trap on the...
Exactly. Shell, which would have a metal underpinning with the lead slug at the top at the powdery side, would be slid in. Upon firing, you would open the trap, the old expended shell would pop out, and you'd slide a new one in. This was, of course, a great improvement over the loose powder weaponry of the 2 centuries before, but it was not a multiple fire weapon. The Springfield was a single shot, Winchester, Sharps, and others were multiple firing weapons. Army didn't like those for several reasons. One, they thought the soldier would waste ammunition. 2, mechanically they weren't as reliable. And 3, they just tended to jam a lot.
Yeah, and technically the Springfield trapdoor had a problem because technically since the barrel got hot due to firing, like, such as at the Battle of Little Bighorn, Custer went in with a couple of hundreds of these Springfield trapdoors, and the brass ended up, well, expanding.
That is correct.
And they had to use their own Bowie knives, or
that
some
is
sort of
correct. They did archaeological surveys there twice in the last 30 years, and they found a large number of the metallic cartridges with scratch and pull and cut marks on them, which showed that they were hard to extract because of the excessive heat. But that's when they changed the cartridges. Let me see now, it was from the copper to brass or brass to copper. I should know this. Well, they changed it anyway to a higher grade metal that didn't melt at such high temperatures, or at least get soft, and then life was better.
But no, I've also heard the reason they went with the trapdoor rather than just go with Winchester and stuff because of the price. It was cheaper.
Well, the Army was always looking at cheaper ways to do things because Congress did not lavish the Army with a big budget. But one of the other reasons was the size of the slug. It was a .45 caliber slug, 450 to 505 grain. That's a lot of lead. And the Army's theory was, again, and wasting ammunition, if you've got a Winchester, which could fire a 38 or 40 caliber slug, that just didn't have enough knockdown power. The Army was interested in a bullet that if it grazed you or hit you, even if not fatally, it would just knock you out of the combat. And it must have worked because the Army kept them for nearly 20 years, didn't replace them until the early 1890s with the Craig Springfield, and then by 1903 with the Odd 3 Springfield.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, these are United States hats. These are not German helmets. These are actually meant for parade usage. But technically, these are more of a Prussian design. You go. Saddle right here. We can see why it's a
McClellan saddle.
Oh, McClellan saddle. Oh boy. Named after
saddle from 1859 to 1944, designed by then Captain George McClellan, who later went on to some Civil War fame. Army used that for nearly 85 years until the cavalry were phased out at the end of World War II.
So lots,
Light and airy, it's comfortable on the horse's back, not so much for the rider, but horses were much more important.
yeah, and I also see it doesn't have the knob right in the front like cowboy ones have.
That is correct. Army did not find that necessary. Plus, the knob was a part of roping. You're going to go out to catch a
exactly.
cavalry. Army doesn't go after cavalry.
Now these are wooden, like wooden stirrups, because everybody.
Underpinnings, wooden underpinnings to a stirrup. That's correct.
Huh? Because normally people just think it's just a piece of railing of metal, but.
You see there, they're wrapped in leather.
These are pretty much the horseshoes of the day.
Combs and brushes and such for the cavalry.
Okay, now this looks like, let me guess, a field hospital.
Yeah, right.
Ugh. It's a good thing we have modern medicine, am I right?
You're not kidding there.
Because normally, ladies and gentlemen, now if you guys would actually ever go to like a modern day hospital, which I don't think any of you guys know this, that back then they didn't have any form of
Anesthesia.
Yeah. Exactly. They just bullet it out of the body. And in fact, I hear most of the people died due to the massive amount of. Yes, and ladies and gentlemen.
This is their anesthesia.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what they do with that, they have to bite on it.
Yeah.
In which, most of the time, I hear that instead of them dying from the battlefield, they actually died from their wounds inside the hospital. Is that correct?
Gangrene usually got most of them.
But
And as far as the fighting, they would rather wound somebody than to kill them, because it would take two people to take that person off the field. That's three missing. Then they'd have to treat them, feed them, doctor them, and then pretty soon they're going to pass anyway, generally. About 75% of them. And so they just soon move you as to actually kill your person. Oh,
and this knife right here with the curve, that's pretty much for amputating a human limb.
Yeah, that's called a capital knife, and they use it all the way around into the bone, and then they take a little saw and saw the bone in.
Okay, now this little hearing piece right here, this is like for detecting a bullet, am I correct? Or
the what?
This.
That's a stethoscope, a wooden stethoscope for listening to your heart and lungs.
Oh.
They used cedar and ebony were the two best woods for resonance. And the shorter the shaft, the better the resonance. And you need the earpiece at least 2.5 inches where it'll cover the whole ear. And then the part that goes to your heart, lungs, or wherever needs to be 1 inch to 1.5 inches.
Ooh. Now, taking a look at this is like a little bit of a modern form of medicine, am I right?
Yeah, they some of it is from way back yonder. Some of it's a little bit more modern. Like the glass syringes, they're on into the early 19th century. And the metal ones are in the late 1800s.
Ugh. But now I hear there was also a device, an early device of detecting a bullet. Now, technically, it was also used on one of the presidents of the United States once, President Garfield. Am I correct?
For taking the bullet out?
Yes.
Yeah. What they would do, first, generally they would use a bullet probe like this to find it. Then in the 1500s, most of the time, it was just a straight screw. And when they went in, they might puncture a kidney, liver, or whatever. And so in 1552, this doctor invented this one where the screw retracts. That way when it goes in, there's nothing but smooth. And when you hit the ball, then you just start pushing pressure, and twisted it out.
Yeesh.
And the lead that we use in the old black powder guns is real soft. You can score it with your thumbnail. It's so soft. And but then in 1860, they come out with this one, which all mechanics have in their toolbox.
Ooh.
It's got little fingers on it. They just stick that in there, grab a hold of it, pull it out.
Ooh. That's these are pretty much the dark tales from history that no one likes to remember.
Yeah. I'm a retired history teacher.
Now these are pretty much the like.
Yeah, we compared these. These are from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and we compared them with today's. And the only difference, some of the handles are curved different, some of the jaws are a little bit different than what they were back then.
Huh.
That's basically the only difference. Plus, they're using throwaways, like in your surgicals in the hospitals. They have a tray for this and a tray for that. It has everything they need, and then they throw it away.
Oh, ma'am. Now, this is like the modern day settler. Well, technically the settlers back from the Old West there.
We're doing 1860s living history.
And pretty much this is like your kitchen right here.
Yes, I just got through washing dishes. We cooked breakfast out here this morning. We had bacon and sausage and eggs.
So pretty much you were sleeping in here overnight.
Yes.
Oh. Which, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this, this is Saturday. They did this since Friday, correct?
Yes.
It's pretty amazing if you think about it. Now, let me guess, this open area here is your living room?
Yes.
And bed chamber?
Our parlor.
But I don't know where your shower is.
We don't, that we don't have. We have to go down to the creek.
Oh, ooh. Oh, and here's the old-fashioned spinning wheel of the age to make your...
make thread, make yarn.
Yeah, make yarn, make your clothes.
And John over here is weaving fabric.
Which, that is actually impressive. This is like before the industrial age. Because people might want to know, what's before the industrial age? This is what it is. In fact, before the industrial age, this was better than...
It was way better than doing it by hand, one thread at a time.
It's quite impressive of how much stuff you guys got in the first place. But now, actually carrying this, how big did the wagon have to be? Like, how many wagons full?
Everything breaks down. So, like our kitchen cabinet here. Comes apart in pieces.
Oh, wow. Now that is impressive.
So this is actually 4 pieces.
But now I also see that pretty much when it came to your beds, they had to be high up in order to avoid probably snakes, scorpions.
And also for storage, you can store things underneath it. You can't store things on top of where you're sleeping. You can store things underneath.
Let me guess. This is actually the parents' room, and this one's the kids' room?
It could be. It could be. There's actually 4 of us adults that are staying here this weekend, so.
Pretty much so. This is like everyday living. But now when it came to brushing the teeth, you normally had to use like sticks or...
Yeah, you could take like a willow stick and kind of rub on it and it gets kind of brushy.
Oh, and what do you use for toothpaste then?
Clay works.
Huh. I've also heard that they would even use like for example the leaf of a tree and pretty much rub it on there, and in doing so it pretty much...
Mint leaves would work, would work really well.
This is like an old-fashioned rocking chair, am I correct? This
is made out of hickory. They soak the limbs in a pond to get them soft before they bend them.
So technically before you would ever establish a farmstead, you would pretty much live outside like this. Which technically this is a little bit more carefree if you ask me.
Well, Well, it is, but it's very hard. You can't take your animals with you if you're going to milk your goats and things like that. You can't. They don't make much milk when you're traveling cross country.
Okay, now we're here. I'm here actually speaking with one of the Texas Rangers.
No, I'm not a Texas Ranger. I'm with the former Texas Ranger Foundation. I'm Bob Bailey. This is part of my personal collection, which are guns, badges, holsters, memorabilia from the Texas Rangers, Department of Public Safety, some old-time sheriffs, and I have a collection of Ranger badges, DPS badges, so forth. I've been collecting about 20 years, and eventually all this will go to the Heritage Center we're building in Fredericksburg, Texas, the former Texas Ranger Heritage Center. So, if you want to, these are all Rangers' personal items they carried with their holsters and so forth.
That's what I call a big gun.
Yeah, this is from the movie Tombstone. These badge and gun was used in the movie Tombstone.
Now, I heard the original badges for Texas Rangers or a Marshal was technically that's a piece of tin or something.
Yeah, Texas Rangers was formed in 1823 by Stephen F. Austin. At that time, they wasn't required to wear badges. They didn't wear badges till probably the 1890s, 80s, and they were homemade badges made by a silversmith or anybody themselves out of a tin can. But they wasn't required to wear Texas Ranger badges until they were taken over by the Department of Public Safety in 1935. And at that point in time, they were required to certain type of a dress and to wear badges. There have been 3 different badges since then, up to the current badge, which is a Cinco Peso badge, made out of a 1947 or 1948 Cinco Peso. Prior to them wearing badges, they carried a piece of paper. It was called a warrant of authority, and it was signed by the governor. But they didn't really need that. Their reputation preceded them. Today there's 175 Texas Rangers, 4 of them being female, divided over 6 companies all over the state of Texas. When they first signed up in 1823, there was 10. Stephen F. Austin had 10 men. So they've come a long way. The Texas Rangers are elite police force. I call them the Texas FBI, and they help other law enforcement officers out in the field. Some of them don't have the training or the equipment to do what they need to do, and they'll call in a Texas Ranger to help them. But these are more stuff.
Geez, it's kind of like a smaller version of the old shotgun.
Yeah, this is a sawed-off shotgun. 3 Texas sheriffs carried this. Washington County, I'm sorry, which is Brenham, Texas. This is handed down to each sheriff. The last sheriff carried it, and these are his badges and so forth. Each one carried that under their front seat.
That's something new every day.
Yeah. These are some slapsticks, blackjacks. They're not allowed to carry these anymore. Brass knuckles, of course they're not allowed to carry them.
Yeah, I can see because then it gives them more meaning.
Yeah.
And these are older handcuffs.
Yes, they are. Those are 1900. Yeah.
So these are like before the modern day. These were like an invention, like.
Yeah, well they had handcuffs back.
Well, yeah, but they weren't.
No.
No, they didn't fit the hand properly.
This is getting up to current handcuffs. This particular handcuff is pick-proof. They couldn't pick it, open it. These are just miniature guns, but this is a pistol owned by Frank Hamer.
He is famous for the demise of
They call it the Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh wow!
And that's a bullet from one of his other guns, which was called Old Lucky. And this is a wanted poster here, Bonnie and Clyde, 1935, and it was sent to all the post offices. And look at the back. That's how few post offices they had back then. See? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is sort of the collection of the badges, Texas Ranger badges. They first started out issued by this was what they call a saddle badge, and then they went to a bottle cap badge, which is one like this, and then they went to the Cinco Peso badge. These are early badges. These are 1890s era.
Some of these pistols look a little dangerous to even hold still to this day.
I'm sorry?
Some of these pistols, like for example this one right here, looks a little bit dangerous for even the Ranger to even hold. Because I hear
if it wasn't dangerous, a Ranger wouldn't carry it. This is a Department of Corrections gun. Right there. This is, all these are, you know, Texas Rangers.
Now these are just like something the Ranger would have worn?
Yeah, they wore these type of tie bars, and I started collecting them from Rangers, and pretty unique. These little pistols come out of the holster, and the knife comes out. It's just something I like.
Texas public. Were you a trooper at one time, sir?
Huh?
Were you a state trooper at one time?
Oh, no. No. I'm just a member of the foundation.
I've seen all of that. My son-in-law's a state trooper.
Oh, is it? Thank you for service. No, I just collect Texas Ranger and DPS.
And then I got another friend who's Texas Ranger.
Texas Ranger spurs.
Yeah, that belongs to in his brass knuckles.
I could see why they stopped using them.
Yeah.
But I.
GPS officer.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Did you?
I want you to look through here in just a second. A few little things here that's unique. Excuse me 1 second.
All right.
Yeah, this is pretty unique. This is a
It's like a tight tap. I would try to Mike.
No, thank you a lot, sir. Appreciate it.
But now, when it comes to the brass knuckles and the pistol whip, as they call it, when a Texas cowboy or a Ranger would take their pistol and use the barrel of the gun and hit him over the head.
Well, they would use anything they could to subdue a bad guy, you know, whatever it took. They caught a famous bad guy in Florida, John Wesley Hardin, and the captain of the Rangers came in on the train, found where he was at, and he went to draw his gun, and captain hit him, knocked him out with his pistol. But they have to use everything to subdue him.
Yeah, it's really good.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of those old Spanish type of dope houses, or adobe, whatever you want to call it. Normally, there'll be Spanish families would actually be here. Now, you guys wondering what I mean by Spanish families. Technically, I technically called them that a couple hundred times because, well, they normally do their heritage thing, which is pretty impressive. And look at this. This is a old-fashioned oven here. That is quite impressive. The way this interesting. Okay, now I'm actually at the Turkish restaurant, ladies and gentlemen. Now, your restaurant is called
Turquoise Grill.
Okay. Now, technically, these are pretty much all the types of, well, things you actually sell at the place and of what they actually made in Turkey.
Yes, this is the traditional foods that we sell here. We have lamb kebab, we call döner. It's actually Turkish gyro, Turkish hero. That's what they call it in America. And we have chicken shish kebab, which is like special seasoning. And then we wrap it and give them with the salad a special sauce named tzatziki. And then we have here crack wheat. And then we call it bulgur wheat salad. It's really good. It's mixed with the tomato and the green pepper. And we have the grape leaves here. And it's stuffed with rice. It's very popular in the United States. So yeah, we are doing good here. So we are waiting for the customers in the festival.
Well, technically it is a Saturday, so it's probably sleeping in.
Yes, yeah, it should be busy today.
But now the Turkish, the Turkish gyro here.
Yeah.
Like, how did they originally have that? Like, how did they originally spin it? And
they originally the origin comes from they have the another nationalities like different type, different seasoning. We make different process. We process a lot of different seasonings and marinate it. So we marinate it with a different sauce than the other. Like we can say, grease has a different taste. So, but most people like our gyro. I mean, döner we call it döner actually. So. If you like to try it, you can try it and you can tell your customer also. That would be awesome. Would you like to try something?
Actually, I'd like to get 2 doner kebabs.
Doner kebab? Alright, just one? 2? And wrapped? Or plain? Okay. Wrapped 2 doner kebab. Yes, sir. It comes with the tzatziki sauce. Yep. Also, a salad. Tzatziki sauce. Yes, sir. Okay. Tried our grape leaves before?
When I was in Turkey.
You like the grape leaves?
I do. Do you guys have a restaurant in town? We're new to San Antonio.
No, we've been here like 10 years.
Okay. No, I'm new.
You're new in San Antonio?
Yeah, we just
Where are you
moved
from?
here. Well, my husband's in the military, so we just came down from Montana.
Okay. So you can come
Yeah,
this is an old schoolhouse, ladies and gentlemen, from the 1990s. Which, well, actually not 1990s, but technically from the 1800s. I mean, because they always have the black hair, and it's kind of confusing. Which, look at this. This is what schools looked like original. There's your little, there's your little thermostat piece. If it gets hot, if it gets cold, turn it on. If it gets hot, then pretty much lift up the windows. Well, now you guys are probably wondering how they ring the school bell. There's actually supposed to be a little cord somewhere in there. I don't know if I can get it in the shot. I don't know if you guys can see it though. Oh, there it is. See this cord right here, ladies and gentlemen? That's actually meant for ringing the bell. Right up there. Okay.
Well, people had to do this today, they would be lost.
Well, we still use some. I grew up using some of these. You know, like right here is a lot of your animal working stuff. Like these here are horn loppers for dehorning cattle.
And this right here is pretty much an old-fashioned...
it's a foot trap.
Yeah.
And actually, the foot trap came pretty standard, just like this. You can buy new ones. And this right here, you can see it's got baling wire wrapped in it.
Yeah.
This is actually an old trapper's trick to do that. They would do that and see what it does is it leaves a little bit of a gap in there. So, well, no, when the trap will snap shut, a lot of times it will completely sever the leg. And so if you do this, it leaves a gap. So now the bone is broken, but the hide doesn't cut. And so now they can't pull their leg out. Now that won't work great on stuff like a coyote, because a coyote will just chew his own leg off to get out of the trap. But if you catch a deer or something like that that doesn't have those teeth to chew off, they're caught. So, and then of course you would use the hook and mount it into a tree or into a rock, and they're not going anywhere. So, now this here, you have any idea what that is?
Not a clue. No. Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but what's it hooked to?
Well, what you do is it's made for making lariat rope. Because that's a lot of fibers spun. And so you can do it by hand and sit there and spin it, or you can take this, hook your fibers on, grab it, spin it, unhook it, hook it to the next part and do it again. It lets you do about 6 to 8 inches at a time instead of sitting there spinning it by hand.
So this is like the original spinning type of rope spinning machine.
Well, exactly. It speeds it up instead of doing it by hand. Yeah. So.
Let's see here. Okay.
That's an old toaster. Oh. So, and you actually put it in there and you can see the elements are exposed.
Really? It's butcher's knife. Oh, actually, it's a hatchet. Oh! Dang it.
That's the idea.
It's really hard. You got to step on one, step on your feet, push it down.
Let me guess, this was like the original site for, well, technically the original hedger for, like...
It's for cutting down a bush, actually. It's called a brush hook. And what it is you can see the curve. It allows you to get down and swing low and get down to where the stalk comes out, catch it and pull so you can bring the bush down without you having to get into the bush to cut it.
When you look at it, when nobody sees this and somebody sees it for the first time, they think, oh, this is something like for a horror movie.
Right. And same thing with these. A lot of people like come up and say, hey, what's with the executioner axis? Okay, well, these are actually called a broad axis, and you have a couple different varieties. You have your standard broad axe, like this, and what it's for is for chinking a log to make a log cabin. Now what I mean by that is when you take a log, you want to make that Lincoln log cut so you can stack the logs on top.
Oh yeah.
And that's what this would be for. Now this one here is a squaring broad axe, and if you look at it, you can see that the handle is offset. It doesn't come out straight.
Oh yeah.
And if you look, it's only sharpened on one side, and this side is completely flush and flat. And so what you would do is you didn't actually swing this one, but when you cut down a tree, you have like the pencil point.
Oh yeah.
And then what you do is you don't want that, so you would set this down and you would drive it through using a wooden mallet like that. And you would square that edge off so it's flat and looks like the way you imagine a log. So.
But now, what is this one for?
Similar to the brush, just kind of a different variety.
Ooh.
And see, this one actually has that same hook ability, but it has an axe on the backside.
Ah. I guess it was a invention mistake while making an axe.
Well, it was, or more of a variation, you know, so you can cut down the brush, but then you can chop it up. Instead of having two tools, you can do it with one.
Because normally people think that when it comes to cutting wood and stuff, you just use this type of form of axe, but there are many forms of axes.
Yes, and each one has a specific use. Yep.
What technically though is this one?
This is a hook made to get in there and drag logs around. Spin wow. So move them around. You would use this in like a mill. So if you're trying to get a log down so that you can hook it to move it in, you could reach in there, hook the log, and drag a log off the top of the stack.
Nice. Makes it a little bit faster.
Oh yeah, instead of getting up there and trying to push it and getting your hand caught.
And I noticed that this mallet here, it's like made out of an old, well...
Off of a leg of a table or a chair. Because, you know, if it broke off, you already have it tooled down, so you're not going to get splinters. So why throw it away? Just turn it into another tool.
Exactly. But now these are like hedgers and stuff for whenever the log has been cut.
They're called froes, F-R-O, and they're made for making roofing shingles. And if you'll notice, the blade is not on this side, it's on this side.
Dang.
And so what you would do is you would take a log and you would cut it into 18 to 24 inch lengths, and you would split it in half and then into quarters using a wedge and a hammer. So now you're stuck with like a quarter of a log. And you would set this on top and use a wooden mallet, and you would drive it in and then split it stuck in a brace, and it'll split the wood along the natural grain. And then you split it until it's about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick, let it dry for about 3 months, and then put it up on your roof.
Huh. Kind of impressive, yeah.
Yeah, like those shingles up there, we actually split all of those shingles.
You split like all of those, man. I was a kid once. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this, I was a kid once. I came down here, and I never actually knew you actually did that.
Yep.
Okay, now this.
These are called log dogs, L-O-G-D-O-G. And you can tell that it's a homemade tool, obviously been repurposed out of railroad spikes.
Oh yeah.
And this is a multi-use tool based on the variety. You can see we have the one with the hinge. And what these are is if you're going to go out and you're going to chop down trees, you didn't have trucks, you didn't have trailers.
No.
You know, and you couldn't just go to the lumber yard, so you had to go maybe as far as you needed to go to find trees. So if you're going to be out there, cut them down, you're going to start working on them, you take these with you, and you could put this one into the log and this one into the ground and do one on either side, like that. And so when you're sawing on the log doesn't roll around on you, like a portable sawhorse. Now these that are fixed, and you see this one's fixed with a loop on it. When you're hauling the logs, like I said, you didn't have a truck or a trailer to take it back, so the best way to take it is to use a waterway like a river. And so if you take it and you would hook one into one log, one into the other, run a rope through these loops all the way around it, and you could ride down the river, someone on there, and when you get to where you're going to come in, you throw the rope up on shore, and they use mule teams to drag the logs in.
Nobody remembers that part of history. Now, if I'm correct, these were technically meant like to scrape it along the bark and make it flat and even.
These are all carpentry tools. These are called drawing knives, and they're for shaping the wood.
Dang.
And these are called hand planers, and if you look at them, this is a blade that is adjustable.
Oh, cool.
And so you couldn't go out and buy a board, you had to make your boards. And what this is, you sit there and you take off a certain edge to flatten that board out.
Dang.
And you have your different sizes of them here. And then of course this one here is an adjustable hand planer.
Okay, now this looks expensive for someone. How much did this actually really cost back in the day?
That is a good question. I have no answer for you.
Because these look like something you can make in like your own house. This looks, well, like you have to go to the city to get it.
Exactly, and they probably ordered it and waited a couple months for it to come in. But see, this is a more precise tool. And if you think of like, say, a cabinet door, where you have a cabinet where it opens and you have the flat part, and then but it has an edge that sticks out on the outside of the cabinet and a part that goes into the hole. And so what this is it allows you to set like say 1 inch and cut 1 inch off of the board at a lower level. So you have a beveled edge, that way it will go into the cabinet. Because nowadays they will just take 2 boards and put them together. But if you had to make the boards, you weren't going to make 2 boards to nail them together. You were going to take 1 board and take the edge off. So.
Now can you only imagine doing this on a daily basis to pull again? Good job.
What, you're tired already?
Oh, come on. Come on.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Lebanese of Texas. Now, I know that they probably have it here somewhere for actually read this stuff. Ah, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. They have good food, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. I've eaten there a bunch of times, authentically, both here and there, and it is magnifique, if you ask me. Talk about a language variation. Let's get over here so we can get the like what they sell. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Windish. This is actually a people that lived east of Saxony. Now, technically though, due to their heritage, technically they were still pagan during the time of the Saxons in the Dark Ages, and what happened was they pretty much got themselves beaten, but as well later on during the time of the Prussia and as well as many others. They pretty much, well, as you can tell, this is pretty much the language of them, their people, in which it's actually supposed to be stating. No, anyways, back to the original form I was telling you guys about, the Windish culture and so on. Pretty much it was finally defeated by Napoleon and ended up giving all the land to the Prussian Empire. Who is the architect though? Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, inside the Institute of Texan Culture. Look how beautiful this place is. In fact, it's actually cooler in here than it is outside. Those are the tribal men right over there. It looks like probably Hawaiian? I don't know. I'm probably going to get to it later. But let's go in here first. Take a look at this beautiful place. And of course, these look as though they seem to be the missions of the United States. Oh, well, actually of Texas. Here's the Alamo. Espedia Chapel. Or Espeda. I can never pronounce this correctly. Beautifully architected, though. Beautiful tower. Chapel. Look at this chapel. These are actually off with the historically accurate basis. And look at all this historically accurate stuff. This is beautiful. I mean, come on, look at what they did this stuff with, ladies and gentlemen. All this stuff here. This is all they used. Oh, that is just badass. I mean, just look at all the design characteristics they did to this. It's bloody impressive, if you ask me. Now, San Antonio, guys, if you don't know this, this is a major Catholic area, but as well we do have some forms of Protestantism and Orthodox and Jewish and Muslim areas, but at this point in time during the 1800s, it was a major Catholic area. I mean, look at this beautiful architecture. I mean, the Spanish did well on their creations, and still to this day, people are still taking photos of this in remembrance of Texas, because when people come to Texas, they don't normally come here to take a look at the major amounts of, well, population and stuff. But they actually come here to take a look at these beautiful works of art. It's impressive. Flawless. Outstanding. Now this is pretty much the whole Texas right here. Take a look at this. This is like Texas landscape here, ladies and gentlemen. And this is actually true to accurate form of what it actually is. look at this. Native American. This is pretty much the Native American sector of it. Look at this stuff. Look at this. That snapping right there is very impressive.
So take the picture, hurry. Hurry.
Now, these are the Native American tribes that lived in here. Now, technically, I have parts of Native American in my blood. A lot, actually. But the most I know of the ones that are here in Texas, that most of them that are in Texas, are actually Comanche and the Apache. And those are two of the most brutal Native American tribes in history in Texas. All Native Americans, ladies and gentlemen. And look, this is a historically accurate Native American teepee in the town of Texas. Pretty much this is all your living, sleeping, eating quarters. It's impressive.
I don't like digging post holes with a shovel, so I'm just kind of spade.
It's actually pretty sharp.
Yeah. So, you know, whatever advantage I can get. Dig.
It's a little sleep. And that, technically, this is where the baby would be. The mother would carry it. Oh, excuse me.
William, he says no. William, he said no. Back up here.
What's you see? See something? What do you see?
Impressive architecture these Native Americans created. And technically, actually, if you guys are wondering which Native American tribe this was, this is the Caddo. The Caddo, or Caddo. The one over there? Apache. Technically, Apache kind of did look like the same type of culture, but they did fight with each other a lot here. Impressive architecture. Look, this is like how they made this. Look. You know, if you guys are wondering what this hole here is, this is probably where they had their fire pit, which I'm not surprised. But now, look at this one. And this one is a long one, and the reason I call it a pit house is technically it's a pit. It's impressive. And look at these ones. This is where technically the Spanish might have gotten their influence for the adobe houses from the Native Americans. Now, technically, these Native Americans, on the other hand, they lived out in the Wild West areas of Texas, not in centralized San Antonio. Look at this. Look at these inventions. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, these are tobacco pipes. And this is during a time when Americans came over and so on. So you get the whole point. And these ones, they adopted them and created their own design. Who says the settlers didn't make peace with the Native Americans? Another area of the Native Americans in their cave system.
Depicting creation of the world.
This is quite impressive. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering what this is not fake. This is real rock. Impressive, if you ask me. Okay, I gotta make sure I don't. Oh, this is cool. Now, though these are real rocks they used, and technically it's supposed to represent a cave system. But they left the top out. Native Americans actually used these cave systems in order to, well, live. I mean, look at this. This is impressive. Technically, now you guys might wonder, well, wait, would there actually be a tree in the center? Well, yes and no. But technically, this is actually also supposed to represent a canyon. Actually, not, well, you know. Now in the cave of darkness,